Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the show. It is Sunday, a little after 8 o'clock in the morning, and today we're gonna play some stuff that I've been meaning to do for a while. First up, we've got one of the builds that I was personally very eager to be able to play when 2.4 came out, and that is a Summoner Druid. Uh, it's a great build, honestly. It's enjoyable, it survives, and it is, as far as I can tell, completely hell viable on one of the cheapest budgets I've ever used for a character, in total honesty. So we're going to start off the way that I would personally build this out is immediately, as soon as you can, put these 5 points in. You got 1 into Lycanthropy, Werewolf, Feral Rage, Rabies, and Fury. You only need 1. That's all you need to put into it, period. This is basically just a survivability thing. So, your primary is you're going to max out your 2 wolves, your bear, a sage, and your ravens. Now, my ravens aren't maxed out yet because I'm only level 80. If you want, you could do this a little differently than I did. You could max ravens out before you max out your sage. All just depends on how you want to play the game. This is the way I did it. So, 0 points in the elemental skills. This is just not an elemental build whatsoever. My gear. Now, the only expensive piece of gear, that I have on this entire build is a set of Drax. And even those can be replaced with Laying of Hands. And in a lot of cases, Laying of Hands will probably do a better job. But I really enjoy having Life Tap and that extra 8% life steal. And these are just great overall gloves for this build. Other gloves would give you increased attack speed, which would definitely be very helpful, but it's not at all necessary. So, first piece is Dracul's, and you can swap those out for other gloves if you don't have these. But this is the goal. You want to try and get these because they make survivability a lot better. Next up, Insight in an elite polearm of some flavor. What you can get your hands on is basically going to be just what you use. For a druid, a thresher is pretty much the best option just because of its base attack speed. I don't think I have any other increased attack speed on here. Oh, I've got 10% on my belt. And that's all that I have. And it's plenty. Especially for such a cheap build that is as capable as it is. So, you get your insight that helps with your mana recovery, and it does a lot of damage for being Ral Tier Tal Soul. One of the easier rune words in the game to get. It's right there with Spirit. Super easy, super cheap. Anybody can get it. There's no reason to not have one. Next up, Jalal's Mane. Mine happens to be perfect, but that's just me. It doesn't need to be. It could be anti-perfect, 150% enhanced defense, and it's still going to do the job the exact same way. Defense doesn't matter that much for this build. Very few things in this game actually need you to have a high defense, and this isn't one of them. So, Jalal's, because the rest of the stats are just gravy. It's the best helmet you can put on a druid, unfortunately. I wish there was better, but there isn't. But this is still quite good. My amulet, just a 3 shapeshifting's amulet. You can replace this with almost anything. You can gamble these. You can find them. If you want, you could use a summoning +3, or you could use like an Eye of Etlich, which is +1 to all, but also gives you more life leech. lots of different options. This is just the one that I'm using for this build right now. You could put a High Lord, you could put a Cat's Eye, a Crescent Moon if you wanted more Leech. Lot of options for this build in this slot. Next up, just a basic Skin of the Viper Magi. I was running a Nodge's armor, which is that, which also works very well. A lot more defense, gives you life. The damage taken goes to mana is always nice. But, you know, if you don't have Nodge's armor, the Skin of the Viper Magi is just as good. Actually gives you a little bit more resistances, a little bit more cast speed. But, again, less life. Some boots that I have. Basically, your boots are just whatever boots you have that you can throw in the slot. You could run Tearhaunch Greaves if you wanted. They're the Paladin boots that give plus to Vigor, 5 to Dex, 5 to Strength, and I think 5 to all resistances. Good little boots, cheap, easy to get. You can run almost anything in your boot slot because this build is much more skill dependent than gear dependent. So, there's those. I'm running a Ravenfrost and a Life Leech Ring. Any Ravenfrost will work. It's more for the Cannot Be Frozen than the rest of the stats, but the rest of the stats are fantastic for this build also. But again, it's more for the Cannot Be Frozen. So, any stats will do. And my second ring, I'm using... Yes, it's got a bunch of strength on it, but you don't need to have one with strength on it. You can get anything that's got a good life leech on it, and that'll fill this slot. You could use a Cathin's ring if that's all you have. And it'll do just fine. So, and for a belt, I'm running a Nosferatu's Coil. String of Ears would work just as well, maybe actually even a little better because it's got damage reduction as well. Again, it's the life leech that you're looking for. The rest of the stats are gravy. As you can see, I do not have an Annihilus or a Hellfire Torch anywhere on this build. Yes, I've got some halfway decent resistance charms. Again, as I've said, 1,000 times, this is all just stuff that I found throughout playing. That if I've got a resistance charms loadout and a damage charms loadout that I swap around between characters just depending on what I'm doing. This happens to be the resistance charms loadout because you need resistances, especially on a cheap build. You can get these charms in Nightmare Cows. If you've got a Horker Barbarian, you can just run around following a group of friends or even just randos in public lobbies. You can just run around, hork cows, and you'll get charms. It's easy. I don't know what else there really is to say about it. Charms should... Yes, the really high-end charms, they're a little harder to get. And a lot of the time you'll have to trade for them because RNG, random number generation, is not always your friend. And oftentimes it's going to be your worst enemy in this game. It's going to... fighting against RNG is going to be harder than the monsters in the game, frankly. So, you're not always going to get the charms you want. But you can still get a very good charm loadout. Without any problem. You just got to play the game. And this build will help you get those charms built up, if you will. So, we've got resistances. I got 4 plus 20 to life charms. 8 poison resist just to bring that up a little bit. And I have 4 plus 1 to summoning skills charms. Literally, I've found all of these. They're one of the more common skill grand charms that you'll see. And if you don't have any and you don't want to hunt for them, you can trade for them very easily because this isn't a super popular build. It's not like a Hammered In or, a Blizzard Sorceress where people are overcharging insanely for the gear. Summoning Grand Charms are easy to get. Quite easy to get. A little bit of time, a little bit of effort, a little bit of patience, and you'll have them. I only have 4. I don't think I actually need more than that for this build, especially considering I want to be able to have resistances, etc. So, moving on. My mercenary is running a steel skull cask. You could replace this with a Talrash's mask to pretty much the same effect. I'm just using this for the life leech and the increased attack speed. It comes with a base of plus 10 increased attack speed. I put a 15 jewel in it for 25 total. That's the whole point of this helmet, is just to leech, and it'll make you attack a little faster. Anybody can find this, or, like I said, you can use a Talrash's mask, which is even more common, and provides very good leech, resistances, life, etc. A Duriel shell for his armor because it's Duriel shell. Easy to get, good amount of resistances, plus the strength, plus the life. Cannot be frozen. Like, this is one of the best budget armors you can get, really. That you can just find 100 of them easily. So, those two pieces, they work quite well together. Especially if you've got a beast like this. Helko Thul Ethfal. Obedience. One of the easier rune words to get. The only... It's got 2 mid runes, like low mid runes. Ko and Fal. You do, Countess runs on Nightmare difficulty or Hell difficulty. You're going to be rolling in Helko and Fal runes. I've got an entire mule full of them because you just get them that often. And this is one of those really good rune words because you could put it in an ethereal weapon. Just look at it. The stats speak for themselves, realistically. The damage is always going to be 370%. You can put it in a perfect 15 superior. You'll get a 385 every time. As you can see, that's over 1,000 printed damage on the weapon if you put it in an ethereal cryptic axe. That's going to be over 1,100. I don't know the exact math off the top of my head, but it'll be over 1,100 if you put that in a superior one. And that's, for a mercenary weapon, for such a low investment, you're not going to find a better one. Period. You could use like a steel pillar or something if you have it and you don't have this, but it's going to do half the damage. In fact, I have one on here that I was using. Give me just a moment. Right there. 115 to 623 on a 250 roll. Great pike, don't get me wrong, but this is better for a mercenary. And it's cheap, anybody can get it. Now, moving right along, since I've spent way too long on just my gear, we're going to show you. So I've hotkeyed all my summons, starting at F4. If you're playing on a controller, you can set it up however you want. I don't play on a controller, so I'm definitely not the person to talk to about it. So... and then, since you've got meditation on, you just watch your mana climb back up within seconds. Throw on Werewolf. Come out to the Frigid Highlands. Slap stuff around. You're not doing a ton of damage, 3467 on the top, but you don't need to because you've got all your minions as a nice buffer. So, even if you end up taking some damage, you can just run away. As you see, rips through that pretty easily. Something I do gotta make sure that I mention, though, because it actually happened to me last night when I was setting this guy up. Make sure you're prepared if you're going to do bail runs, because you will run into packs of immune to physicals. So having something to deal with them is always nice. Alternatively, you can run through them. But that is riskier. So, as you can see, you're just gonna rip through pretty much everything. Shank's dead. He didn't drop anything good, unfortunately, but, you know. Such is life. Such is RNG. You come down here. Anytime you go between acts, you're gonna have to swap back into werewolf form because it does knock you out. I don't know why. It just does. I like having Feral Rage because you can build up charges. That's life leech. It's increased movement speed. Some of this stuff is gonna take a little while to actually get through, but it's completely possible. It's more time consuming than difficult. No, you don't have a, 4 or 5 frame attack speed, but again, this is probably one of the cheapest builds I've ever made, and you don't really need it. I ain't gonna bother with the experience shrine because they're just gonna curse me and take it away within seconds. And there is the life tap, which I am so fond of because not only does it help to keep you alive, it keeps your bear alive, it keeps your dire wolves alive. It's just a good thing to have. Keeps your mercenary alive. And when, he's doing 5,000 damage, when you're stealing half that, you're gonna be alright. Now, I wouldn't mind a little more attack speed, and you can certainly build it out to have more, but it's not required. Just recast your guys when you need to. And you've got plenty of mana to do it. Pretty much anytime you want because of meditation. Yeah, it might take a little while to get through them all, but you're pretty safe doing it. And you could end up with a lot better life than I have with better gear, because right now I only have like 2,800. But that's still a good amount, really. And you should be able to clear these difficulty or hell difficulty pretty easily. I'll check out what those are later. Oh. And that's something you really want to be careful of. Coming out of werewolf when you're in the middle of a pack or just about to jump into a pack. It will get you killed if you're not real careful. But for the budget this is hard to argue with. Like, I've always been a fan of the Druid, but summon was never really viable because you couldn't have enough critters out at a time. Now you can, and it's completely viable, even on like the tightest budget. Now, I know some people are going to try and say this isn't budget because it's got a perfect Jalals. It doesn't need to be perfect. Any Jalals will work, and Jalals is one of the easiest class-specific uniques that you'll find. Nightmare Mephisto drops it. So, well, yeah, you're going to spend some time in here doing it. It's pretty safe to come through here and just wipe out the Chaos Sanctuary. And then you can just recast whatever you need to at will, because you never have a mana problem. Sure if I took myself out of that on accident by pressing on the wrong hotkey, but so while this is certainly not the best build that you'll ever come across on the internet, it's cheap and it works. And if you don't have a ton of, you know, godly gear, this is probably a really good way to get there. Because you can use this build to just farm. Now, the biggest downside to the way that I play is you got to recast your Ravens a lot. Because they only have so many hits. They don't die, so to speak. They can just only hit so many times. And you could argue that you don't even really need the Ravens, but more is always going to be better. Now, if you don't have an Obedience, and you have, like, a Reaper's Toll, that'll work pretty well, too, honestly. As long as you play smart and safe, you're gonna be hard-pressed to find better and cheaper. You can find cheaper, you can find better, but getting both, that's going to be a trick. Something to keep in mind is when you go to fight Diablo, just kind of come out of werewolf form and go back into it, so that way you're not risking untransforming, detransforming, whatever, going back to normal while you're fighting Diablo. You probably won't die if you're quick about getting back into it, but why take the risk? It takes 2 seconds to recast werewolf. Let them engage and then come in for support. Wrong hotkey. I do that. It happens. I'm getting old. I'm not playing this like an esports title. I'm not looking to have, you know, 1 million actions per minute. None of my builds are going to be like that, frankly. I don't enjoy playing hectic like that. That's why I'm not really a fan of running like a Blizzard Sorceress as my main magic finder go-to, because it's hectic. You're swapping between skills way too much. And that's just not the way I enjoy playing. You lure them, and then you kill them. Ah, immune to physical. Good example. This is why I like having my regular wolves. Because they'll deal with immune to physical. Might take them a little while, but they'll do it. Hey, level up. Nice. Do that. I'm gonna let them deal with him. Put another one into my ravens. Unfortunately, durability is a factor when it comes to your weapon. So at some point, you're going to want to get something that's either higher durability or indestructible. I've repaired this thing so many times since I made it. You can see it takes a little while, but you'll get there. Alright, he's dead. Still got 11 on durability. That should be enough to take out Diablo. Let your critters tank him and sneak around back. Not difficult at all. I mean, it's like one-handed gameplay. And then he's dead. Didn't drop anything that I need, but you get the point. Oh no, I don't have any town portals. That's fine. Because it's that quick and easy to just get back into a new game. But, as I had said before, make sure you keep your weapon repaired. Because it will bite you. Hey, I have viewers! I'm actually sober. Like, I just woke up. I've only been up for, I don't know, 2 hours, hour and a half, something like that. My inebriation begins much later in the day. But you enjoy that. Now, typically, I'm more just ADD, ADHD, so my thought process isn't always the most coherent. Alright. Let's go, slap around Bale if we can. And these guys are why I like having high resistances. Because lightning damage really hurts. pattern I've found when coming through here is go right off of the waypoint. That should bring you... Yeet. Oh, that's why. Spirit died. Yeah, these guys you gotta be a little more careful with, but you can still rip through them pretty safely. Snakes still hurt though. Good God. Out of there. And if you want, you could run this just a straight summon build, run a couple of spirits instead. And you won't have your own personal clear speed like you do with this, but good God, they hurt. You'll have more skills into your summons, and they'll do a little bit of a better job. I still think that the hybrid setup is probably the best way to go as far as summon druid is concerned. Because clear speed, your critters aren't that fast, frankly. I mean, more skills into it obviously is going to help, but you're still kind of limited. As with any of my builds, this is not, by any stretch, the be-all, end-all way to do this. My thought is, you gotta have room to do things your own way. This just happens to be gear that works really well together with this skill setup. And is a challenge while still being enjoyable. Ravens. And I haven't personally deciphered the pattern for 3 to 4 yet, but like I said, from the waypoint to get to 3, usually it's just a right and follow that path off of the waypoint. What? Oh. I am never gonna not be surprised that I have viewers. It's praising me. You. There we go. That's another thing. If you get somebody that's casting Holy Freeze on you, kill them as quick as you can, because that's going to help you in the long term. Come on. Go. Junk. Yes, I know I can do a lot better with my potion management, my scroll management. But again, I'm not looking to do this like an esports game. I'm not competing against anybody but myself here. Which is why I play solo most of the time. I don't want to have to compete with people for loot, for kills, etc., etc. So, I'd be lying if I didn't say I wish that I could do Players X online. Because most of the time I'm just not interested in playing with a bunch of other people. The extra difficulty doesn't bother me, because I can build for that. I think this is going to be one of your best either new player builds or like start of ladder builds, because everything is so cheap and easy to get. Another thing I wish we had was a timer that told us how long we had left on our transformations. That would be fantastic. Wouldn't change the balance of the game in any way. It would just mean that you're not going to get caught out accidentally. And that's all of them. So, you know, just glance up, make sure that everybody's good. And I'll die pretty quick. Now, my personal suggestion is stay somewhere down here. Because once you get into waves 3 through 5, they can hurt pretty bad. Just by the nature of the game. They hit hard. It will take longer if you sit out the fight and just cast, but it's still completely possible. That's all of them. That's all of them. Again, This is all super budget. I'm not running a swap of any sort. Nothing on my second hand at all. And don't get caught. That's all of them. And then be real careful because these guys hurt. Especially when they cast Conviction on you. If they have elemental damage anyway. But it does lower your resistance, or your defense as well, so careful with that too. And when your Ravens time out, just recast them. That's them. Gonna grab up some mana potions here, because that was a problem last time when my weapon broke. And hopefully that won't be happening again this time. I've got 19 durability. But, again, be aware of it. Be cautious. Come down, and you slap. I usually run past him a little bit, so that way your critters have the opportunity to come up and get with it. But they're just being kind of dumb right now. Come on, guys. There we go. Recast my spirit. Suppose you don't really even need your spirit at this point, but still always nice to have. Come on, cast. There we go. And like so. Grab your thingy. And it's that simple. It's a great build. It's completely viable through, as you can see, all of hell. I would not try to do the Ubers, though. You'll be there all day. Just, they're way too tough. You might survive it, but it's going to take you all day. Not literally, obviously. There's some hyperbole thrown in there just to prove the point. Hyperbole, hyperbole. Pronounce it how you want. I'm not a stickler. Alright, what time is it? 8:50. So that's that build. That is my Summoner Hybrid Fury Druid that just, on the cheapest shoestring budget you can think of, is able to slap Bale around with relative ease. Bale, Diablo, anything that isn't an Uber or a clone, basically. If you're just soloing, I can't think of a better way to do it.